Hello, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to read the second chapter of Coraline. Let me get right into it. 2. The next day it had stopped raining, but a thick white fog had lowered over the house. "I'm going for a walk," said Coraline. "Don't go too far," said her mother, and dress up warmly. Coraline put her blue coat on, with a hood, her red scarf, and her yellow Wellington boots. She went out. Mrs. Spinks was walking her dogs. "Hello, Caroline," said Mrs. Spinks. "Rotten weather." "Yes," said Caroline. I played Portia once," said Miss Spinks. "Miss Forcible talks about her Ophelia, but it was my Portia they came to see. When we trod the boards, Mrs. Spinks was bundled in pullovers and cardigans, so she seemed more small and circular than ever. She looked like a large, fluffy egg. She wore thick glasses that made her eyes seem huge. "They used to send flowers to my dressing room." "They did," she said. So here's Miss Forcible and Coraline and her dogs, which are actually different in the movie. Actually, yeah. "Who did?" said Coraline. Miss Spinks looked around cautiously, looking over one shoulder and then over the other, peering into the mist as though someone might be listening. "Men," she whispered. Then she tugged the dogs to heel and rattled off back towards the house. Coraline continued her walk. She was 3/4 of the way around the house when saw Miss Forcible standing at the door to the flat she shared with Miss Spinks. "Have you seen Miss Spinks, Caroline?" Coraline told her that she had, and that Miss Spinks was out walking the dogs. "I do hope she doesn't get lost. It'll bring on her shingles if she does, you'll see," said Miss Forcible. "You'll have to be an explorer to find your way out in this fog." "I'm an explorer," said Coraline. "Oh, of course you are, lovey," said Miss Forcible. "Don't get lost now." Coraline continued walking through the gardens in the grey mist. She always kept in sight of the house. After about 10 minutes of walking, she found herself back where she had started. The hair over her eyes were limp and wet, and her face felt damp. "Ahoy! Ahoy, Caroline!" cried the crazy old man upstairs. "Oh, hello," said Coraline. She could hardly see the old man through the mist. He walked down the steps on the outside of the house that led up past Coraline's front door to the door of his flat. He walked down very slowly. Coraline waited at the bottom of the stairs. "The mice do not like the mist," he told her, "and makes their whiskers droop." "I don't like it much either," said Coraline. The old man leaned down so close that the bottom of his mustache tickled Coraline's ear. "The mice have a message for you," he whispered. Coraline didn't know what to say. "The message is this: don't go through the door." He paused. "Does that mean anything to you?" "No," said Coraline. The old man shrugged. "They are funny, the mice. They get things wrong. They got your name wrong. You know, they keep saying Coraline, not Caroline. Not Caroline at all." He picked up a milk bottom from the bottom of the stairs and started up to his attic flat. Coraline went indoors. Her mother was working in her study. Her mother's study smelled of flowers. "What shall I do?" asked Coraline. "When do you go back to school?" asked her mother. "Next week." said Coraline. Said her mother. I suppose I shall have to get you a new school clothes. Remind me, dear, or else I'll forget. And she went back to typing things on the computer screen. What shall I do? Repeated Coraline. Draw something, her mama passed her a sheet of paper and a ballpoint pen. Coraline tried drawing in the mist. After 10 minutes of drawing, she still had a white sheet of paper with mist written on it. In one corner, in slightly wiggly letters, she grunted it and passed it to her mother. So, there's the mist. Very modest, dear, said Coraline's mother. Coraline crept into the drawing room and tried to open the old door in the corner. It was locked once more. She supposed her mother must have locked it again. She shrugged. Coraline went to see her father. He had his back to the door as he typed. Go away, he said cheerfully as she walked in. I'm bored, she said. Learn how to tap dance, he suggested, without turning around. Coraline shook her head. Why don't you play with me? She asked. Busy, he said. Working, he added. He still hadn't turned around to look at her. So why don't you go and bother Mrs. Spinks and Miss Forcible? Coraline put on her coat, pulled up her hood, and went out of the house. She went downstairs. She ran the door of Mrs. Spinks and Mrs. Forcible's flat. Coraline could hear a frenzied woofing as the scouty dogs ran up into the hall. After a while, Miss Spinks opened the door. Oh, it's you, Caroline, she said. And Gus Hamish Bruce. Down, lovies. It's only Caroline. Come in, dear. Would you like a cup of tea? The flat smelled of furnished, polished dogs. Yes, please, said Coraline. Miss Spinks led her into a dusty little room which she called the parlor. On the walls were black and white photographs of pretty women and theater programs in frames. Miss Forcible was sitting in one of the armchairs, knitting hard. They poured Caroline a cup of tea in a little pink bone china cup with a saucer. They gave her a dry garbidol biscuit to go with it. Miss Forcible looked at Miss Spinks, picked up her knitting, and took a very deep breath. Anyway, April, as I was saying, you still have to admit there's life in the old dog yet. Miriam, dear, none of us as young as we were, as we were. Madame Accardi, replied Miss Forcible. The nurse in Romeo, Lady Brackwell, character Brack. They can't retire you from the stage. Now, Miriam, we agreed, said Miss Sparks. Coraline wondered if they had forgotten she was there. They weren't making much sense. She decided they were having an argument as old and comfortable as an armchair, the kind of arguments that no one ever really wins or loses, but the kind that can go on forever if both parties are willing. She sipped her tea. The leaves, I'll read the leaves if you want. I'll leave the leaves if you want, said Miss Spinks to Coraline. Sorry, said Coraline. The leaves, dear. I'll read your future. Coraline passed Miss Spinks her cup. Miss Spinks peered short-sightedly at the black tea leaves in the bottom. She pursed her lips. You know, Caroline, she said after a while, you are in terrible danger. Miss Forcible snorted and put down her knitting. Don't be silly, April. Stop scaring the girl. Your eyes are going. Pass me that cup, child. Caroline carried the cup over to Miss Forcible. Miss Forcible looked in it carefully, shook her head. and looked into it again. "Oh, dear," she said. "You're right, April. She is in danger." "See, Miriam," said Miss Spark triumphantly. "My eyes are as good as they ever were." "What am I in danger from?" asked Coraline. Miss Spink and Foswell stared at her blankly. "It didn't say," said Miss Spink. "Tea leaves aren't reliable for that kind of thing. Not really. They're good for general, but not for specifics." "What should I do then?" asked Coraline, who was slightly alarmed by this. "Don't wear green in your dressing room," suggested Miss Spinks. "Or mention the Scottish play," added Miss Forcible. Coraline wondered why so few of the adults she had met made any sense. Sometimes she wondered who they thought they were talking to. "And be very, very careful," said Miss Spinks. She got up from the armchair and went over to the fireplace. On the mantelpiece was a small jar, and Miss Spinks took off the top of the jar and began to pull things out. There was a tiny china duck, a thimble, a strange little brass coin, 2 paper clips, and a stone with a hole in it. She passed the Coraline the stone with the hole in it. "What's this for?" asked Coraline. The hole went all the way through the middle of the stone. She held it up to the window and looked through it. "It might help," said Miss Spinks. "They're good for bad things sometimes." Coraline put on her coat, said goodbye to Miss Spinks and Forcible and to the dogs, and went outside. The mist hung like blackness around the house. She walked slowly to the stairs of her family's flat, and then stopped and looked around. In the mist, it was a ghost world. In danger, thought Coraline to herself. It sounded exciting. It didn't sound like a bad thing. Not really. Coraline went back upstairs, her fist closed tightly around her new stuff. That was it.